I was sitting in the third row of the San Diego Civic Center on what should have been the proudest day of our 28-year marriage, my wife's law school graduation, when she tapped the mic and said, clear as a bell, "I've decided to start a fresh life without you." Silence. Then a collective gasp rolled through the auditorium. I saw him in the fourth row, Gavin Brooks, 25, law school hair, tailor-fit suit, sitting with our friends. Mark and Julia couldn't meet my eyes. Stephanie stared at the floor. They all knew. I stood, smiled. "Congratulations on your honesty," I said. I walked up the aisle, handed Amelia a manila envelope, and left. The doors swung shut behind me just as her scream hit the air. Inside that envelope was every page she never wanted to see, a copy of our prenup, already filed divorce papers, a neat bundle of photos and messages documenting her affair, and financial records showing the secret account she'd been skimming into for months. It was years of my steadiness and 3 months of my planning, tied with a paperclip. Outside, the sun felt like oxygen for the first time in a long time. How we got there. My name is Samuel Price. For most of my adult life, I was an IT consultant, the guy companies call at 2 a.m. when their servers are on fire. Not glamorous, but it paid well. I loved the stability. Mortgage paid, retirement lined up, life on rails. Then I met Amelia. Brilliant, relentless. She spoke about justice like it was a living thing. I fell hard. We married. And when she decided to go for law school, I sold my condo and poured the proceeds into tuition. It's our future, I told myself. I worked punishing hours to fund the dream. Bar prep, books, fees, interviews, wardrobes, networking, all of it. I packed lunches with pep notes during finals and drove her to midnight study groups. I believed in her. I believed in us. A small, old-fashioned part of me also believed in prenups. We signed one, ironclad, annually reaffirmed. Among other things, if either spouse committed adultery, the cheater got no spousal support. It felt awkward then. It felt wise later. 3 months before graduation, things changed. Passwords on everything. Phone face down. Friday, study groups, in full makeup and perfume. Our friends went weirdly quiet when I walked into rooms. I told myself it was stress, until one late night her iPad lit up on the kitchen counter. I didn't go looking for pain, but the messages were there. Flirty threads with Gavin, hotel confirmations, jokes about poor Sam, and a line that stuck like a hook. Can't wait to see his face when he finds out. Think he'll cry? Something inside me went still. I took screenshots. I created a private cloud folder. I put the iPad back and went to bed. The next morning, I called a divorce attorney, James Herrera. Old school office, sharper than steel mind. We spent hours going through finances. He found Amelia's hidden accounts, regular transfers that lined up a little too neatly with grocery runs. "She's been planning her exit," he said. "Good thing you found out first." I showed him the prenup. He read the adultery clause and grinned like he'd found gold. "Who drafted this?" "A younger, paranoid me with a very good lawyer," I said. James brought in a PI, Tony Marchetti, 60, trenchcoat energy, eyes that miss nothing. While I performed the role of supportive husband, Tony followed, photographed, collected receipts. I installed a tiny camera in our home office, on counsel's advice. It captured video calls where Amelia and Gavin discussed our house and laughed about how Sam will fold. I didn't confront. I documented. I filed what needed filing. I requested the freezes that needed freezing. I waited. Graduation provided the stage. Amelia provided the script. I provided the ending. The dominoes, I went to Allie's pub after the ceremony. Ordered a bourbon. Let my phone buzz. Serena, Amelia's oldest friend, the one person not in on the surprise, finally got through. "She's hysterical," Serena said. "Says you ruined everything." "What exactly did I ruin?" I asked. "Her plan to take my money and run with her boyfriend?" Serena sighed. "The accounts are frozen." Her and Gavin's loft rent bounced. So did his BMW lease. "How's our boy handling adversity?" He left. A note on the counter. "This isn't what I signed up for." I laughed. A deep, unkind laugh I won't apologize for. Gavin loved the fantasy. Reality was too expensive. Our friends began distancing like it was contagious. Firms that had courted Amelia suddenly went quiet. Word spread fast. Professors, judges, classmates, San Diego's legal community is a small town in a suit. Integrity wasn't just a word from the graduation speeches anymore. It was an adjective attached to or subtracted from a name. Court 3 weeks later, we sat in Family Court 3B. Across the aisle, Amelia looked hollowed out. Her high-powered attorney, Victoria Sterling, argued that after a long marriage and the years Amelia had invested in education, she deserved spousal support and her fair share of assets. James rose, calm, precise. Your Honor, we have a valid prenuptial agreement, properly executed and notarized, reaffirmed annually for 28 years. Section 7C. The adulterous spouse forfeits spousal support. He handed up the document. Judge Patricia Hernandez, a no-nonsense jurist with a gaze that could split granite, read. "This is thorough," she said. "Counsel?" Victoria tried to argue discretion, age of the agreement, fairness. James opened his folder. Receipts, photos, texts, video transcripts, bank records. A timeline. The recording where Amelia and Gavin joked about how easy Sam will fold. Judge Hernandez listened. Then she set the prenup down. "This court does not reward deception," she said. "The prenuptial agreement is valid and enforceable. Spousal support is denied. Mr. Price retains assets as specified. The residence remains in his sole ownership." Gavel, done. Amelia's face collapsed. Her lawyer whispered about appeals. "There's no appeal from facts you signed every January. Fallout. What they don't teach in law school. Reputation is currency. Stories move through hallways faster than filings move through clerks' windows. Within weeks, professors were using our case, without names, as a cautionary tale in professional ethics. A judge who'd considered Amelia for a clerkship quietly withdrew. Firms stopped returning emails. The bar's character and fitness review flagged concerns, not for adultery but for deception and financial games. She eventually passed the bar, but doors that might have opened stayed shut. Gavin transferred to an out-of-state law school. I heard he calls what happened bad optics. Sure, kid. I didn't chase any of it. I didn't need to. Gravity handled the rest. What I built instead. 6 months after court, I was in a different building downtown, looking at a stack of business cards. Samuel Price, Langston Strategies, Divorce Preparation, and Asset Protection. It started with phone calls from men and women who'd heard about my case. How did you keep your house? How did you freeze accounts? How did you get evidence without tipping your spouse? I realized I had something valuable, a blueprint. Technical, legal, strategic, for getting through betrayal without losing your mind or your shirt. I hired Rebecca Martinez, a razor-sharp former paralegal with the survivor's radar. Tony became our go-to investigator. James handled referrals when clients needed counsel. We weren't marriage counselors. We were the people you call when you feel the floor shifting and you need a plan before you fall through it. Our playbook was simple. Document everything you can legally access, quietly. Map the money. People planning exits leave digital footprints and financial fingerprints. Coordinate with counsel before you act. Control your emotions so you don't tip your hand. Move decisively when it's time. Our first client, Thomas, a teacher, suspected his wife and her trainer. We gave him a plan. 3 weeks later, the facts surfaced. 6 months later, he kept his house, pension, and dignity. He sent a letter I framed. You didn't just save my finances. You saved my sanity. Then came Sarah, a software engineer whose husband was investing in crypto by funding his girlfriend's startup. We traced transfers, froze accounts, and she walked away with her home and stock options. Marcus, a small business owner whose spouse siphoned from the company, caught, confronted, contained. Word spread. Therapists referred clients who needed facts before counseling. Lawyers sent people who needed clean evidence, not screenshots that would get tossed. By year's end, we'd helped over 100 people protect what they'd built. Not everyone's spouse cheated. Sometimes it was just concealment or preparation, but the pattern was consistent. The person who stayed calm, gathered proof, and moved smart won more often than not. Some folks called me a divorce whisperer. I'm not. I'm a guy who lived through the worst version and refused to let it make me bitter or broke. Purpose is better than revenge. Purpose lasts. The View, from La Jolla. Most mornings now I start at Maria's Cafe in La Jolla, coffee by the window, ocean doing its gold on blue thing. I read emails. From Sarah. I got the promotion he said I'd never earn without him. Turns out I just needed him out of the way. From Marcus. My kids are thriving. So is my business. You gave me my footing back. I don't miss our old house in Mission Hills. The new owner's painted. It looks brighter. Good. That chapter ended. I measured my worth by someone else's ambition for a long time. That's on me. Now I build my own. Amelia? Last I heard from Serena, she's doing contract doc review for small firms living in a studio trying to rebuild. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. I do hope she learns the lesson I finally learned. Success without integrity is just a countdown. When new clients sit across from me, like Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a cardiologist whose husband suddenly got very interested in handling their portfolio, I see that look I used to wear, steady on the outside, braced for impact inside. I tell them what I wish someone had told me sooner. When you see symptoms, you don't ignore them. You run tests. That's all this is, confirming or ruling out. If you're wrong, you get peace of mind. If you're right, you're prepared. We outline steps. We work the plan. We protect what can be protected. Most leave standing a little taller. Graduations aren't only about diplomas. That day at the Civic Center, Amelia got a degree. I got something else. I graduated from living in someone else's story to writing my own. She thought she was announcing my ending. Turns out she introduced my beginning. I am not the man who folds. I am the man with a plan.